Hello and welcome to a new episode of Experiencing Infdev Plus. I decided to do this episode because there are a few things I would like to do. The first is to name the llama, which I have named in the previous episode. Thankfully, I've got quite a few name tags, so I don't need to worry about using them. In the previous episode, I have asked you to suggest a name for the llama, and I got one suggestion from Neon Light, which was to name it Unfail, or how you pronounce it. There we go. There we go. There is also another reason why I wanted to come here, and that is to work on this area a bit, because as you can see, the floor here is kind of made up of several different materials. So I decided that instead of having it be like this, I'll just cover it with oak planks and have it act as kind of an extension to this area, or have it so that it's the same material and not just a mess of blocks. So let me just grab some oak. Thankfully I got a whole bunch of oak planks thanks to farming bamboo, so I don't mind using a lot of them at once. And there we go. I think this looks much better compared to the mess of different blocks that I had previously. I've also added some slabs so that I can more sort of easily walk up and down. And next up I would like to work on these pillars a bit. First I thought of adding some cobblestone slabs in here. So let me just quickly grab some. I think it looks nice because it adds a bit more shape to this build. So now I'm gonna add it to some more places and then think of some other changes that I want to make. Another thing that I decided to add are some trapdoors. After that, I have decided to replace the middle blocks with slabs to add a bit more shape. I was also thinking of replacing the slabs on sides with some stairs, but I don't think that looks so good. Anyway, I'd say that this is done for now, so now I would like to move on to another thing. Next up, I would like to work on this thing. I originally had a face in here of sorts that kind of resembled a creeper face, but I removed it for some reason while working on this balcony of sorts some time ago, and I never ended up adding it back. I can't remember why I removed it. Maybe there was something behind this place. Not sure why, but I'm gonna re-add it. But for that I'm gonna grab some of palm stairs and slabs, palm blocks in general, because that's what this area is made out of. I've also grabbed myself some basalt to replace the cobblestone in the back, and something that will look more interesting. Next up I need to move this pillar a bit so that it's symmetrical. And now I'm going to try to recreate the face kind of. Let's see. You know, I did say that I would like to remake the face, but I think I'm kind of liking this kind of shape a bit more, or rather a bit more abstract shape more. I think I'm gonna try to play around with it to see what I come up with. I think it could be more interesting than face. And here is the sort of thing that I came up with in the end. I think it looks nice, so I'm gonna consider it finished. Which means that now I'm going to move on to the next thing, which is to expand my garden area a bit. I would like to have it be at the sort of same height. I would like to have the ground be at the same height as I have the ground on my garden. I might also make it slow down a bit, not sure yet, and for that I'm gonna need to place quite a bit of dirt. And I'm also gonna place some cobblestone in places so that there isn't like air underneath dirt, or at least directly underneath the dirt. There are two reasons for that. Firstly, so that I can place the dirt on top of the cobblestone, and secondly, just is to protect myself against creeper explosions, kind of, because if I only had dirt, then there would be just a big hole, but with cobblestone I will have at least the cobblestone underneath and not just a big hole. Yeah, time to start placing some dirt and cobblestone. One more thing that I like to mention is that I don't plan to expand the garden all the way from there to sort of over there. I just plan to expand it kind of up to here, so there will be kind of a line between starting from there, going through here like this, and over to that cave over there. So it will be only part. This kind of project is also one of the reasons why I've decided to place the beacons over there, because with them I don't have to worry about my beacon effects running out, and I can just safely build them wherever I want in this area. There we go, finished placing in the cobblestone, and now it's time to place down the dirt. Thankfully I've got enough of both of these materials so I can easily afford to do this project. And now that I've finished placing in the dirt, I just need to wait for the grass to grow, which can be helped by turning some of the dirt into grass. And while the grass is growing, I'm going to do some landscaping so that the border doesn't look so weird. I may expand the garden in the future, but for now it's going to stay like this. The landscaping is now finished and the grass has almost fully grown, so now I would like to move on to the next thing, which is to add a river to my garden, or perhaps it will be better to call it a creek, because it won't be that big. My plan is to have the source be sort of at the top of this hill, where it will flow downwards to here, where I will have a small pond, and then there will be a waterfall going downhill, and the river will just continue this sort of direction over to the pond that is over there. And if I ever decide to expand this garden, I will likely add a river pond at this sort of level, but I don't want to work on that sort of thing. That is something for a future episode. Anyway, it's time to get started on the river. And for that, I first need to make some space here for the pond. Pick it up. But before I continue, I'm going to quickly fly over and grab myself some ice, because I feel like it will be useful to use, or rather, it will be better to use ice instead of buckets. And I'm going to grab myself some ice by using the Gauntlet of Oriel, since that doesn't consume any durability. And now I've got the ice. As such, I have decided to start working on the river. I've tackled the small pond and filled it up. I've added the source and a waterfall going down the actual river, for, for which I've sort of carved out the path to show where I wanted to go, which means that the next step is for me to kind of widen it and turn it into an actual river. So let's get started. And here's what I ended up with. I tried to make this thing not too thin or not too wide, and I think I got a nice balance. I also made it relatively deep, which I think is kind of nice, and which means that now the only remaining thing for me is to fill it up with water and add the waterfall. Turns out I didn't grab enough ice, so I'm just gonna go and get some more quickly. And there we go, the river is finished, at least for now. And as such, I would like to now start working on the decorations. Firstly, the paths, because I currently have got 2 paths that lead in that direction, and I would like to firstly connect them. So I basically have this path leading into this path over here, and this path will continue in that direction, which means that I need to also add a bridge to this place. And for that I need to, of course, dig out the paths first. As you can see, the paths that I have used several different materials. There is gravel, cobblestone, mossy cobblestone, and the pale grass from the void dimension. And the path is now finished, or at least on this side. I didn't show it on camera since I didn't find it particularly interesting. And now I would like to start working on the bridge, and for that I'm gonna first clear away a bit of this land to get a bit more space. Next up, I'm going to add some pillars. Those will be made out of wood, more specifically pine wood, ancient oak wood, and oak wood. The reason why I've chosen wood that gets gradually lighter is to make it look like the wood at the bottom is wet and one at the top is dry, kind of to create a gradient, and it will look nice. So let's get started. As you can see, I have decided that each side of the bridge will have 5 pillars in total. And now that the pillars are placed in, I'm going to place some sideways logs. And I'm going to strip them by using an axe. And after that I'm going to add some trapdoors, which will serve as the thing that you walk. After that I'm going to add some slabs on the undersides of these trapdoors, so that there is a bit more thickness to them. Then we need a way to get on and off the bridge, so some slabs and some planks. And after that some gates for decoration. And now the bridge is finished. I've also added some lights and I think it looks quite nice. So next up I'm going to work on the underwater part of this river by adding some seaweed, seagrass and glowweed. It will look nice. But it unfortunately seems that I can't quite do that because there's currently a bug that prevents grass from decaying underwater, and for some reason I can't place any of the underwater plants on grass. So instead I'm going to work on some decorations around the river. I'm going to place some sugarcane around the river. I think that will look nice. Don't want to place in too much to prevent it from becoming kind of crowded. And next up I would like to try and place in some bamboo because I think it will look nice in combination with the stem fence, which will prevent it from growing. Basically my idea is that I place in the bamboo and place the stem fence on top of it and kind of together, I think, since it has the same width. And to make it look a bit better, I can strip this thing, which I think looks kind of interesting. And if I just place in a few more, I end up with something that looks kind of interesting, I think. Which just gave me another idea. Let me try it real quick. And I don't think it works. I wanted to try placing a candle on top of the fence, but yeah, it doesn't work for me. Anyway, I'm not going to place in some more and then move on to other stuff. Next up, I'm thinking of adding some lily pads to this river. Not too many, so that it's not crowded, and mainly the plain ones. And maybe I'm also going to add some of the colorful ones from Astro, but only a few. And here is what I decided to go for. As you can see, I've kind of placed them in clusters, where the clusters are kind of spread apart. That way they are kind of close together, but they aren't too dense on the river, so I feel like that looks nice. And I can also use them to sort of cross the river without using the bridge, which I think is nice. Anyway, next up I would like to work on some more decorations around the river, because I feel like the reeds and the bamboo is nice, but it could use something other to kind of looks kind of monotonous, so I'd like to break it up. I'm thinking of building some custom trees around the river. So I'm just gonna quickly grab some materials and start working on that. I'm thinking of placing a tree kind of over here, and I'm thinking of using the ancient oak and oak logs to kind of make it look like the wood is wet at the bottom, and also some ancient oaks and acacia leaves to make it look kind of interesting. As for the shape, I'm thinking of trying to make sort of roots that sort of spread out. Here's sort of what I'm thinking of having, kind of roots that extend below the water, kind of like the roots of the mangrove trees, and up top will be a trunk with a large crown of leaves. Haven't decided on the shape properly, but here is sort of shape that I'm thinking of using. Although now that I'm looking at it, it might be a bit too wide, so I might need to add some branches to make it look like they support these leaves. Anyway, I'm thinking of making it kind of flat at the top, but more rounded at the top. I think that will look nice. And I'm also gonna make it a bit more random, so doesn't look so artificial. And here's the sort of shape that I was thinking about. I've also decided to add some other leaf types on the inside to add some more details, but I don't think you can really tell that they are there. Anyway, now that the basic shape is done, it is time to add some more details to it and make it look less artificial, because it's too symmetrical right now. So I'm just gonna add some leaves randomly and also remove some. This should make it look better. And can't forget to use some leaf piles to add some more details to this thing. And here's the sort of thing that I ended up with. I think it looks quite nice, much better than before. I've also added some branches, and now the last thing that I like to do is add some details, which I'm going to do using some fences. So I'm just gonna place some fences randomly to make it look like there are branches. I think that'll look quite nice. And there we go, the tree is finished. So now I think I'm going to add one more tree somewhere in the other half of the river and maybe some smaller ones as well. So let's get started. As you can see, I have built the second tree. However, before I continue by adding some small trees, there is something that I would like to try out. Just to try replacing some of the grass with lush grass. I'm going to try it at the end of the river. So and looking at it, I think it could work. Let me just place in some more of this grass and look from the top. And yeah, looking at it, it does look kind of nice up here as well. But the only thing that I'm just thinking is that I feel like I should try to kind of hide the transition, make it less obvious by planting some plants over here. Not sure which one, but I'll decide later. For now, I'm gonna go on and replace the regular grass around the border with the lush grass. As you can see, I have finished one half of the river. The grass is still growing, but it will soon take over the mud. Next, I'll work on the other half, for which I've decided that I'm going to expand the mud kind of beyond this river and sort of replace the grass in this sort of area. And because I want to make this area next to the hill kind of overgrown, I think that will look nice. So let's get started. So as you can see, the grass is replaced. I'm now just waiting for the lush grass to finish growing, and while it does that, I'm going to move on to building some of the small trees, which will come in different sizes, and I think I will also add some bushes. So for the first tree, I'm thinking kind of over here. Will be kind of small. As you can see, for this I've used kind of the same shape as I use in my classic world, in my streams. Since this is a smaller area over here, but I think for here I can try something a bit bigger. Let's see. For which I've decided to kind of place in the leaves randomly, and I think it looks nice. So I'm also going to try some default trees like the mahogany, see if it works. And I don't think it fits quite so well here, or at least in this place. And I shouldn't forget to also use the leaf files, since those also add some details to these trees. While working on the garden, I've been going back and forth between the river and this, my house, and I've just noticed that the leaves on this tree have decayed. You might remember that in the previous episode I accidentally caused them to decay by causing a block update by breaking a snow layer block, but then I decided to kind of revert it from a previous save earth. But it seems that they have decayed again. Not sure what happened. Maybe a lightning struck it. Well, doesn't matter. I'll probably keep it this way. Just wanted to share it. It's, it's data I've planted in 0.2 back when things used to be different. But anyway, as you can see, I have added some more trees, some more medium-sized ones, some smaller ones, some even smaller ones made using the fences, and some bushes. I've also added some of the default trees over here, and with that I'd say that will be it for this episode. I'd say that I have built enough. I was planning to do a bit more, however I feel like I want to release this episode on Monday, and I don't think I'll be able to make it if I finish this, which means that I still got much more work to do in this garden. I still want to make this area a bit more overgrown, and to this half of the river, of course, expand the garden in that direction. I also want to work on the area around the small pond up here, make it a bit more interesting. I also want to replace the grass here with lush grass and the grass underwater with mud, since now I use the lush grass. I also want to do something with this area around this giant tree, since there isn't really much. It's not really that interesting. I want to make it more interesting. And this area as well. And lastly, I'm also thinking of doing something about the flowers that are on the grass, because it liked it before, however now I'm not entirely sure if I want to keep it this way, since, well, it's kind of random, so I feel like it would be better to have placed the flowers in more orderly fashion. So it's kind of grass and the flowers in some patches or flower beds or something like that. But either way, I still got a lot of work that can be done in this garden, which I'll do in some of the upcoming episodes. But anyway, that will be it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.